What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And before we get into today's video, I just want to say if you're a fan of those Legends of the Game, then I would definitely recommend subscribing to the channel because that's all I focus on. Also, guys, if this is content that you enjoy, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd posterize that like button. That would help me out a great deal with the YouTube algorithm. And with that being said, guys, let's get right into today's video. So, guys, I was kind of shocked when I was looking through my videos and I did not see a David Robinson build because I thought I had done a David Robinson build. Um, but maybe, either A, I'm overlooking it or, well, I haven't done one, so either way, this is just going to ensure that I do in fact do one because for many of you that may be younger, you may have only known of David Robinson as, being a player that, won a couple of championships in the early part of Tim Duncan's career. But throughout the 90s, David Robinson was one of the top centers in the NBA. I mean, he was right there on the heels of Hakeem Olajuwon, and yeah, it's just he was that good. He was a really, really good center, and he often gets overlooked because, well, you know, um, if you look at just in the state of Texas, in San Antonio, there was David Robinson, but then in Houston they had this guy named Hakeem Olajuwon, which you could argue that Hakeem Olajuwon, skill wise alone, is the best center to ever play the game. Um, with his footwork, his defensive ability, his scoring ability, and just everything that he brought to the game, right? So saying that David Robinson was, behind him in terms of ability, that's not taking anything away from David Robinson. But David Robinson also had guys like a young Shaq and Ewing, Mutombo, guys like that, Zoe, that were really, really good. But I always felt like David Robinson, especially young Shaq. Now, I mean, Shaq when he got into his prime and he bulked up in L.A., I wouldn't say that Robinson was better, but early on, in the early parts of Shaq's career, I would definitely say Robinson had the edge on him, and it's just a shame that the second greatest center of probably one of the best eras of big men all time is often forgotten, you know, and a lot of people just do not remember him and how great that he was. So Robinson was a player that he could do a little bit of everything. He was able to shoot. He was able to finish inside. He was very, very fast for his size. And in all reality, guys, on defense, he was as good as any center. He was just really, really good on the defensive end. And the guy, I mean, he was just, he was always he was a stand up player. He was one of those guys that, would always do, you always knew he was going to do the right thing, right? Um, and he was just a good person on top of being, a great player, which is always a good thing. You've got some players that were really, really good, like, for instance, Charles Barkley, who was really good, but even David Robinson said that sometimes, Barkley needed to kind of, you know, shut up essentially, so, but David Robinson, guys, he was a really good player. If you've never seen him during the prime of his career, I would definitely recommend checking out some highlights. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can do this build. I'm going to show you the first way is if you're one of those people that you want to get that shades of, and it's a true shades of because it does play like David Robinson. Then I'm going to show you that way, and then I'm going to show you another way if you're someone that you just wanted to play like a center. Okay. So the first build we're going to do, it's going to be the mostly shooting with a little bit less defense. And of course, guys, anytime you're doing shooting, I recommend going with the pure speed because, well, shooting just kind of, it just kills your speed. Then we're going to go ahead and max out our close shot, our driving dunk, and our standing dunk. Then we're going to max out our mid-range, our three-point shot, and our post fade. Now that is going to give you a ton of shooting badges for this build that you're really not going to need. But you can use, you could always use those shooting badges. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to max out our interior defense, our lateral quickness. We're going to put our steal up to 49, and then we're going to max out our block, and then our offensive rebound, and then our defensive rebound. And that's going to give us 22 defensive and rebounding badges. Of course, we're going to go built. We'll be 7-1, and then we'll pull this down to 235. For the wingspan, we'll just go ahead and we'll max that out. Now, if you look at this build, guys, and the reason why I say that this build does play really, really nice, and it plays a lot like a David Robinson build, because even though early on, before you went through and you completed everything, your finishing ability wasn't where you wanted it to be, I'm sure. But now, if you look, now that you max out that wingspan, you get a close shot that once you get this build maxed out, it's going to be an 87. You're going to have a driving dunk. I mean, it's only going to be 60, but for a big man, you're not going to really be doing driving dunks very often. But you'll have a standing dunk of 92, so you're going to be able to finish on the inside really, really well. But then if you look at this, guys, a 76 mid-range to go along with an 86, or an 85, I'm sorry, post fade, it's going to be a really, really good shooting build. And you're going to have a 75 post control. You also have 84 interior defense, as well as a 98 block and a 98 defensive rebound to go along with an 89 offensive rebound. So once you max out that wingspan, I mean, it really changes this build entirely, and it makes it to where it is a feasible build that you could play at the center position. And then for your takeover, guys, if you wanted to do rim protector, you could, because, David Robinson was a really good shot blocker, but I just feel like glass cleaner is the way to go. It's just a better takeover. And if you look at that, guys, you build a glass cleaning lockdown. And at the very top, you have shades of David Robinson. Now, I'm not going to show you the actual badges on this build because you know the badges that you like to go with and that you like to play with. So just choose the ones that work best for you. Now, for the other build, guys, and this is the build that, because I like playing like a true center, I felt like this build played better. And I went with the speed and the vertical on this because you're still going to be just as fast, but you're going to have that a little bit better vertical to make sure, blocking shots and things a little bit better. We're going to max out our close shot. We're going to max out our driving dunk and our standing dunk. Now, if you wanted to, you could also max out your post hook to get you the 24. Now, for this, guys, I mean, if you wanted to max out your mid-range and your free throw, if you're someone that, you play like my career and you need that, you could certainly do that. You can also max out your post control. Of course, as a big man, you're going to want that. Then you max out your interior defense, your lateral quickness. Then you'll go down, you'll max out your defensive rebounding and your offensive rebounding, and then you'll put the rest on your block. And then you'll of course be 7-1. You'll bring that back down to 235, and then you'll max this out. So if you look at it, guys, your block's only going to be a 94. So if you wanted to, right, if you wanted to, make this a little bit better, you could pull this down to 75 and then go ahead and max out your block. And, you're still going to have that really good blocking. So it really depends on how you want to do that. You can take a little bit away from that post fade. But if you look at where this build is, guys, I mean, it's not going to be able to shoot as well because your mid-range is only going to be 60. But if you look at your finishing, you're going to have a close shot of 94. A driving dunk of 73, a standing dunk of 99, with a post hook of 84. You're still going to have a really decent post control at 79. Your interior defense is going to be a bit better at 86, but your block is going to be a 99, and you're going to have a 96 offensive and defensive rebounding. So defensively, you're going to be a lot better. Again, you could just choose whichever. We'll just go ahead and we'll go with the glass cleaner takeover. And this time, guys, you build a glass clean lockdown again, but this time if you look at shades of Dikembe Mutombo, Rudy Gobert, Clint Capella, more of the defensive centers, right? So you could really go either way, guys. If you know, but if you want that shooting and you want that shades of David Robinson, you could certainly do that. You know, and again, guys, I mean, with the badges, where I did do a couple different builds on this one, I'm not really going to go into those badges because you know what badges work for you, and you know the type of badges that you like to play with. So badges where they're just more or less a suggestion. When I do builds like this, I would just prefer just to let you choose the badges that you want to go with. But yeah, either way there, guys. And then you could also do the other, the other way where it's more finishing or more defense, or Hall of Fame defense and finishing, or defense and shooting. Whichever way you want to go with it. But either way, it's going to be a build that I feel like plays a lot like David Robinson. You'll be a defensive monster, of course, with this build. Or if you go like Hall of Fame shooting and Hall of Fame defense, you're going to be, much better with those Hall of Fame defensive badges. But it depends on you guys and how you like to play. Both of these were really, really fun to play with. But as you know, my first build that I actually did on this game and that I really, really fell in love with on this game was the pure red center. And, it's just, with the center, guys, I don't focus too much on shooting, right? It's not really my thing. I want to be someone that can lock down the inside and then, can just punish the opposing center on the offensive end. But, it really depends on your play style. And with this build, guys, the two builds that I showed you, and then the alternative pie charts that you can go with to get a very similar build, you could really do this build to play your style. So you choose whichever works for you. But with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd posterize that like button. If you like those legends of the game, I would recommend subscribing to the channel. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are. Have a good one.